Okay. So one more problem. The mic is not working. Oh, there. All right. Good morning, everyone. So again, my name is Coach Shannen. Today, okay, cool. All right. I think I'm not gonna use this anymore because my voice is loud, naman, right? So you can hear me. All right. So today we're gonna talk about the common mistakes in speaking. All right. So today it's going to be a lecture about the things that you should avoid doing during the speaking interview. So for the new students, IELTS is composed of 4 different tests. So we have the written components of the test that will be done consecutively. The listening, the reading, and the writing test will be done all in the computer. Okay? Each test is going to take an hour. And then we have the last test, which is isolated because it's scheduled on a different time slot apart from the written component. So your speaking test or your interview will be scheduled maybe a little bit in the afternoon or something like that. Let's say you have your written components in the morning and then you have your speaking interview in the afternoon, something like that, okay? So that's why it's called the isolated test. But before, it used to be worse because you had to schedule a different day for all the written components and then a different day for the interview. But since we have the testing center here, and most probably you're going to take your test in our testing center, then it will all be scheduled in one day so that your agony, your anxiousness will be done within a day. And that's great news because we don't want to prolong the agony. It will be prolonged a few more days because you're anticipating, you're waiting for your test score, right? Kung magre-retake ka ba or natawa si Kuya sa retake. So wag po nating planuhin mag-retake because we know how expensive the test is. We know how much hassle and time, effort you're going to be exerting just for you to take the test, right? So we don't want anybody to retake. And that's the reason why you enrolled in this review center is for you to be able to take and pass the test in one take, right? So most probably general training students are just aiming for a score of 5 or 6 kasi yun lang naman yung band score na requirement. Am I right? However, and then the ACAD students, who are the ACAD students here? Oh, okay, we have quite a few, 5. So the ACAD students are aiming for a 7 or higher. But the reason why you enrolled in a review center is not just to achieve that score, specific score, band score that you want, but for you to have a better score or a score beyond that, a higher score, okay? And the speaking test is going to be an interview. It's going to last approximately 15 minutes. Ideally, the interview is supposed to last for 12 to 15 minutes per person, per test taker. Now, ma'am, how about me? I was able to finish the exam in 7 to 8 minutes. Hindi ka dapat matuwa doon, okay? You're not supposed to be happy or celebrating that you finished the speaking interview within 7 or 8 minutes because that's bad news, okay? It means you were not able to maximize your speaking ability. You were not able to speak much during the interview. And most likely, you're going to fail. Okay? It's weird. All right. So today, we're going to talk about, actually, this whole week is going to be all about speaking. We're going to know the tips and techniques in order for you to improve your interview skills. And of course, your language skills, because that's basically what we're trying to improve here. That's why you enrolled in a review center, right? So we're going to talk about the things that you should avoid during the interview. But don't worry, because we will also be giving you tips and strategies on how you can further improve your answers. Because most of the time, test takers would just answer in words or phrases. That's why they need to retake the exam, because that's not what the exam is really meant. Okay, the exam is meant for you to showcase your speaking capabilities in English. Okay, so yep. Let me just give you a short statistical information about the test takers here in the Philippines. So as you can see, the average band score of test takers in the Philippines for the academic students, they would usually get a 6.8 on the speaking test. And for general training students, they would usually get a 6.4. If you notice the difference, it's just 0.4. Did I do the math right? Yeah, it's just 0.4. Okay, so why is that? If academic students are aiming for a higher score and then GT students are just aiming for 5 or something. So it all boils down to attitude, okay? So the reason why 70% of academic students don't achieve a 7 or their required score of 7 or 8 is because they don't enroll in review centers. They feel like, kaya ko na to. They're overconfident and they underestimated IELTS speaking interview. Yun naman, contrary to general training students who are very anxious and alam nila na medyo natagilid ako dito, I might not get the score that I want. That's why they would really do anything in their might and ability to pass the exam. That's why most general training students are getting higher scores than what they're required to get. Is that clear? Now, I'm not giving any shade to academic students because I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but that's a fact that most academic students are overconfident. That's why they don't enroll in review centers, and that's why they don't attend the coaching. That's why you're here, is for you to be able to experience the coaching sessions. And coaching sessions are very beneficial because it's a one-on-one 15 to 20-minute session with your coaches, which is me and Sir Kevin. And at the end of the interview, we will be giving you a detailed evaluation of your performance, which will be revolving around these 4 grading criterias. We have fluency and cohesion, vocabulary and lexical resource, grammar and pronunciation. But meron din yan mga sub-grading criteria. For your vocabulary and lexical resource, the test is meant to test your vocabulary, knowledge, precision, okay? Range, meaning, gaano ba lawak yung kaalaman mo when it comes to English words? How well are you equipped with English vocabulary? What is the range of your vocabulary? And how precise can you use? Kasi maaaring marami kang masabing, you might be able to use very complex words. Okay? But are they used accurately? Are they used in appropriate situations? So that's why in the grading criteria, under the vocabulary and lexical resource, the test is meant to check your knowledge, your precision, and your range, vocabulary range. And of course, same goes with grammar. Okay, I know Filipinos and people who know English as their second language, you already are equipped with a basic sentence structure, okay? Which will be very helpful on part 1 of your exam, of your speaking interview. But when it comes to task 2 and task 3, wherein the topic or the conversation upgrades to a higher level, you would be needing more complex grammar structures. So you can't just use subject, verb, basic sentence structure. you have to also be equipped with the other techniques on how to construct sentences. But good news, because grammar doesn't seem to be such a big importance when it comes to your speaking test. It will be highly important in your uh, writing test, because in your writing test, you will be leaving evidences of punctuation marks, lack of punctuation marks, mistakes, wrong use of verb tenses, prepositions. Everything will be recorded and it's evident in the written component of your writing test. But in the speaking test, you can easily get away with it because there's no way that the examiner can remember every single detail. Unlike me, ako kasi pag nag-coaching ako, when I'm doing the coaching session, I'm really typing all the mistakes. Not all, but most of the mistakes that I can't record. Especially pag hindi ako tinatamad. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not sharing. So we have Kim, Ruby, Christine. Ba't di kayo nagsasalita? Hindi pala siya nag-share. But it's okay because dahil hindi daw ako nag-share ng screen, umattend na lang siya ng face-to-face. Hi, I have just started. Welcome to the class. Hi. Okay. Can everybody see my screen already from the Zoom people? I want to make sure that you guys can see my screen. So please hit me up with a yes or a thumbs up if you want. Okay? All right. Now, let's talk about pronunciation. When it comes to pronunciation, this is actually one of the most important parts of the speaking test. Why? Because the comprehension of your speech, the understandability, all boils down to pronunciation. Because if you fail to pronounce words correctly, it leaves a barrier for effective communication. Especially when your pronunciation mistakes are too frequent or your accent is too strong. When it comes to accent, it's not such a big deal, but if you cannot enunciate words clearly and your speech is not audible enough, definitely it will affect your pronunciation score. The precision, the accuracy of your pronunciation. But again, you don't have to overdo it. You just have to sound like a neutral speaker. I'm not forcing you na aralin yung Australian accent or yung American accent or British accent. It's not necessary, but you have to try at least to reach a neutral level when it comes to your pronunciation so that your speech can be audible, can be understandable, and effective. Because that's the most important thing, the effectivity of your answers. Okay. Ito na ba kasi? I'm just kidding. All right. Huh? Really? Oh my God. My condolences.
Like Tinio.
What else could go wrong today? So many things are going wrong today. But anyway, I think we're supposed to go to the next slide now. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the common mistakes with fluency and cohesion. I did not elaborate it much earlier because this is the first thing that I'm going to talk about today. So let's talk about fluency and cohesion. There is a misperception that when it comes to fluency, kailangan mabilis kang sumagot at magsalita. Do you think that is that is a fact? Do you think that's a fact? Na kapag mabilis, when you talk fast, it means you're fluent in English? Why do you think so?
If it is not clear.
Okay, that's right. If your answers are not effective enough, it doesn't matter how fast you speak. The speed doesn't matter because what matters is the relevance of your speech, the content of your answers. Okay? So that's why we're going to talk about the common mistakes with fluency and cohesion. And of course, we're going to talk about how organized your answers are. Because maybe you provided really good answers, but then your answers are all over the place. Or probably you spoke more than 4 sentences in part one. And there are some experiences that I had with my students wherein ang tinanong ko pala, the first question that I asked is, "Hi, can you tell me your name, please?" And then, sinabi na niya, andito ba siya? Okay, wala siya dito. So, ang sagot niya, his answer was, "Hi, my name is, I am single." And I'm like, wait, I'm not asking if you're married or single or anything. And then he started talking about his age and his occupation. You don't have to do that, okay? Answer what is asked, what is being asked. Okay, if I ask you your name, you just tell me your name. You don't need to tell me if you're single or married, okay? Actually, we don't ask those kinds of questions in IELTS speaking. And definitely, you don't need to prolong your answers when the question is only, what's your name? Basically, the examiner already knows your name because the examiner is holding your ID. Whichever ID that you use for registration, it will provide information such as your name, your full name. But the reason why the examiner asks you that question initially is because it's for you to warm up, okay? Because you're really nervous during that time. So basic questions such as what is your name can actually help you loosen up, right? So warm up with that question and simply give your name. And if you want, you can extend your answer and say, "Hi, I'm Shannen Tinio." You can call me Shan if you like, as my friends call me Shan. All right? So ganun lang. That was like 2 sentences, but then it sounded better than just saying Shannen Tinio, right? Because in IELTS, it's more of like extending your answers, sounding interested in the conversation. All right? So let's take a look at this picture first. Okay, probably some of you already saw this picture. So I'm gonna ask the new students. So what kind of emotion do you think this picture is depicting or portraying? Does she look like she's excited or happy? As I said before, I think this woman is a runaway bride. So, because look at her pearls. They're like accessories for a bride. But I don't know. I don't really know the background of this picture, but yeah. What comes into your mind when you first saw this picture? Just a word, yes?
It shows that she's confused.
Confused, yes. Am I gonna ditch my broom or what? I'm just kidding. Confused, yeah, that's a very good answer. And how about you, sir? What is your name, by the way?
Yeah.
Jomar? Okay. Can you use a word to describe this picture?
Nervous.
Nervous. Okay, that's a really good answer. And for the newcomers, hi. Are you a new student?
Reviewer.
Yes, you're a new student. When did you come? This week or last week? Last year pa daw. Oh, hindi. Joke lang po. When?
Bago lang.
Uh-huh.
Tuesday.
Welcome to the class. Today's topic is common mistakes in speaking. Is this your first lecture?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Because on your first lecture, we're going to talk about your mistakes already. But ma'am, what is your name, please?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn. And we have Jomar. I forgot your name, sorry. I always forget your name. It just doesn't stick. I don't know why. Ren, right? Where did you take your exam, by the way? Oh, okay. Take your time. I mean, you've only been here for a couple of months, right? Okay, but are you gonna be consistent this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so please do attend the coaching session tomorrow, okay?
Tomorrow.
But as I was saying earlier, if you really can't attend the coaching session tomorrow, I'll be opening 3 to 5 slots this afternoon.
How about this today?
Yeah, today
Can I?
at 1 p.m. or around 12:30, something like that, okay? So, sino? One is for Brad. One slot is for Brad. Who else wants to experience the coaching session after the class? What's your name, sir?
Yes.
Chris. Okay. Brad and Chris. Oh, you don't want to come here tomorrow? You don't want to come here tomorrow anymore? If you're gonna come here for the coaching session tomorrow, I think how about you? Would you like to come? Would you like to attend the coaching session later? After lunch?
Tomorrow. What time tomorrow, mom?
Tomorrow it starts at 9. And then while the others are having their coaching session, you can also attend your mock test. But if you feel like you can't come here tomorrow because you're busy or you have something to do, you can attend my coaching session after lunch today. Is that better for you?
Yes, ma'am.
So we already have 3 slots: Fran, Chris, and Joseph. Okay, sir. Joel. Yes. Okay, Joel.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. So we only have 3 slots. You can't come here tomorrow.
Pwede na.
You're gonna try it for the first time. OMG. Ayan na. This lesson is really appropriate for you because if you're gonna be trying the coaching session today, then you have to listen carefully. Okay, so you answered confused, nervous. So when do we usually feel confused and nervous? We usually feel confused and nervous when we are not familiar with a certain situation. When was the last time that you experienced something for the first time? Okay, Joko, what is your first job abroad? Okay. On your first experience as a waiter in a coffee shop, did you feel confident already? How did you feel?
Nervous because I don't know anything.
You don't know anything, but you went there. So you never had a job experience similar to that in the Philippines? Really? Okay.
So I don't make coffee.
You were also a barista. Because baristas do the coffee, right? They make the okay. All right, and then you know how to fix it? Okay, thank
What
you.
higher or lower?
It should be lower because it's getting hot in here. I don't know why. Okay, so yeah, when you experience something for the first time, you tend to feel nervous, you tend to feel hesitant, you tend to feel confused because you're not familiar. That's why we are encouraging all our
Yeah.
we are encouraging all our students to attend at least 10 coaching sessions. So the coaching sessions are open every week, usually every Friday. But if hindi ka talaga maka-attend ng Friday, then like what I said earlier, I can accommodate a few students after lunch. Okay? So let's not even okay. So the common mistakes, number 1, when it comes to fluency and cohesion, is stuttering. What is stuttering? When you cannot control the uhs and ums. And that's basically because you're nervous, okay? And you don't know what to say, okay? So you're uncomfortable, you're nervous, you're extra self-conscious. So you're conscious about your language because you're not confident. That's why for the examiners who will be taking the exam in a few weeks or a month, we are not recommending that. Actually, the ideal duration for you to take the exam is 3 to 4 months of review. But I understand some of you are in a hurry because your employer or the school that you're going to study at is requiring you to take the exam in a specific date. But if I were you and you don't feel confident about taking the exam, you shouldn't rush. Pwedeng siguro sa next semester ka lang mag-enroll, or probably you can talk to your employer and tell them that this is the date that I will be taking the exam. Because let me remind you, the exam is roughly 13K. So if you're to take the exam, again, you're gonna pay. There's no only take, okay? One take, one payment. And then if there's one skill that you need to retake, sorry, it's not 50%, it's actually 9K. That's why don't risk it if you feel like you're not confident. Okay? Take the time that you need. If you feel like 3 to 4 months, meron nga kaming student dito, 1 year na nag sobrang tinatake na yung time niya, right? But that's okay because, you know, it's better to be sure than to be sorry. Okay. Next, we have limited vocabulary. So when you have limited vocabulary, you can't easily express yourself. You want to say something in English, but your thoughts are in Filipino or in your language, right? That's why we highly encourage you to equip yourself with rich vocabulary words. Now, what should I do, ma'am? Should I memorize all the words in the dictionary? No, 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 no. You don't have to do that. You don't have to memorize words from the dictionary. But what you have to do is to be familiar with vocabulary, words, and expressions that could probably be used in the speaking test. What I'm talking about is on task one of the speaking test, it's basic questions about you, your likes and dislikes, your interests, your hobbies, the kind of music that you like, the kind of genre, the kind of hobbies that you are inclined to do, or the talents and skills that you have, or anything related to your job. So let's say I'm a teacher. I have to enrich my vocabulary explaining my field in the education. So, hindi ko kailangan matuto ng engineering terms or architectural terms because I'm going to talk about my occupation as an English teacher. So, yun lang yung ipa-familiarize ko na terms. Okay? So, it saves you time. You don't need to memorize the whole list of vocabulary words. What you need to do is anticipate. And you will only learn to anticipate the situation if you attend at least 10 coaching sessions in your review center. Okay? So, ma'am, I don't have a luxury of time to attend 10 coaching sessions because I live so far, or I'm too busy because I'm balancing work and study at the same time. Are you accommodating virtual coaching? I'm so sorry, but the answer is no. We don't have time to do virtual coaching because I don't need to explain. We don't have time. Yeah. The only coaching sessions that can happen are in this classroom. I mean, in this review center. All right. So you have to take advantage of the coaching sessions that we are offering you. So bukas, I will be opening only 15 slots. And you have to be early because these guys over here, hindi pa nag-open yung review center, nandito na sila. So they come here really, really early, and they're all usually the first. So kung,
Our home is far from here.
oh my God,
Then
I don't
we
have an
come here
excuse.
early.
I don't have an excuse to be late anymore then. So sorry, it's my fault. But it's the first time that I was late, right? So that's kind of unusual. Anyways, yeah, so what I was saying, going back to what I'm saying is secure your slots. I used to have like I used to post on the Wangchong group chat, like reserve your slot, 50 slots only. But the thing is, some people are reserving their slots, but they don't come here. That's why I changed the mechanics. So you come here, first come, first serve basis. That's it. Now, if there's more than 15 slots, I'm so sorry. You have to wait for the next week. Kasi I used to allow like 19 students, but I was having a hard time balancing my time, managing my time because when I go home, I also have another job. So I work from home. So nagko-conflict yung time. So I really need to go home earlier than extending my time here. Okay, so 15 slots only every Friday. And then today, we have 3 students, right? Bran, 4 pala. Chris, Jocelyn. Is it Jocelyn? Yes. And,
Yeah.
okay, Jomar. Right. Right. So we also have does not understand the question, unfamiliar with the topic. So this is one of the most common mistakes ever. When you don't understand the question because your examiner speaks too fast or the pronunciation is affecting your comprehension, what do you do in these situations? Do you want to give a suggestion? Nakakailang coaching session ka na. Probably you know what to do now, right?
You don't have any idea about
Say sorry. Well, yeah, okay, that's right. You can say sorry or ask for a pardon. But usually you would ask the examiner to repeat the question. Okay, so you can basically say, I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question? Because it's much better to ask a repetition than to provide a wrong answer. Kasi baka sa unang, the first time that the examiner blurted out the question, you didn't understand it properly. So the tendency is you provide wrong answers. Okay? So the relevance of your answer is not there. So bawas points agad yun, right? So it's much better if you admit that you want this question to be repeated. Another technique is, for example, you're not really knowledgeable about the question. So paano na? It's like a maze and walang exit, right? It's like you're in a very hot spot. So if you really don't know the answer to the question, what I advise to my students is to be honest about it. Like, I'm so sorry, I'm not very knowledgeable about this topic, but as soon as I go home, I'll make sure to do my research about it. But then don't easily give up. At least try. What you can do is give what you know about that topic. Mag-provide ka ng kahit paano ng sagot. It doesn't, kasi dito sa IELTS, it's not about wrong or right answers. It's about how you deliver your answers. Okay? Your efforts on how to express your thoughts. I know not all of you are equipped with a good command of English, but as time passes by through the weeks and months, you can improve that, okay? Know what to expect, fish for answers, or be honest. Yeah. So you will only know what to expect if you are already familiar with the questions that will be asked. 26. Kaya pala
Ngayon lang din, ngayon lang mo. Ay, ka lang kumali.
there.
Yun.
Let's put it to 90. Just kidding. Grabe, sobrang lamig naman. Parang nag-blow siya kanina ng mainit na hangin.
Nakatulog siya.
Okay. Okay. When you're trying too much not to commit fillers, that's when you actually commit more. So just don't overdo it. That's the tip. Unable to link words, phrases, and sentences to form an idea. Okay. So this is the reason why you should be attending the vocabulary lectures that we provide for you. In order for you to be equipped with linking words, such as after that, however, hence, furthermore, okay? Because your answer should sound coherent, and it doesn't sound coherent if you are asked, please describe your hometown. And then you provide answers such as, I live in Cabanatuan City. Cabanatuan City is a big city. Many job opportunities in Cabanatuan City. It doesn't sound good, right? Why? Because it lacks transition words and linking words. The best way for you to answer that is, my hometown is Cabanatuan City. In fact, it is one of the most civilized cities in Nueva Ecija. Nueva Ecija is our province. It's a big province, and Cabanatuan City is one of the main cities in this province. There are many job opportunities, and it provides good healthcare and education. Okay, so there we inserted linking words, transition words to make it sound more organized. Okay? Kasi hindi po tayo elementary students na sasagot ng sentence per sentence. All right? Okay. So that's what you need to do. You need to be attending our vocabulary lectures so that you can be equipped with the right words that you need. Okay, these are the common linking words or discourse markers. When you're introducing your opinion or your idea, you can use phrases such as I guess, in my opinion, I believe, all right? And then when you're introducing reasons, because when it comes to IELTS speaking test, you don't just provide a single answer. You also have to elaborate your answer by providing reasons. And one of the linking words to introduce your reason is simply say because. For example, the question is, what are the difficulties that you're facing in your job? Okay, so let's say my job is an online teacher. One of the difficulties that I'm facing in my job is handling difficult students. Because we are in a virtual setup, so there are a lot of chances for students to face distraction. So it sounds more coherent, it sounds more organized. I gave an answer and I also gave a reason. Okay? Introducing results of something. Let's say the topic in task 1 is about birthday. When was the last time you celebrated your birthday? Tell or talk to me about your last birthday celebration. So i-describe mo ngayon what happened. Where did you celebrate it? What is the highlight of the event? And some additional details. Kasi sa task 1 naman, 2 to 3 sentences per question would be enough. Because part 1 or task 1 of your speaking test is basically a warm-up. Kaya sobrang, I kept repeating to my students, why is it that sa part 3 kayo ayaw sumagot? Right? When part 3 is actually the most important part of the speaking test. Part 1 is a warm up. Part 2 is you will be given a task card with questions. And actually, there's preparation time. But part 3, that's when you really have to maximize your English skills because the questions become more complex. The questions become more abstract. But the good thing about it, yung topic sa task 2, related din siya sa mga questions na itatanong sa task 3. However, more difficult, more complex, and deeper. Kaya, huwag kayo masyadong magpasikat sa task 1. Kailangan mag-reserve din kayo ng konti sa task 3. Kasi, most of you tend to like lose your energy on task 3. Dapat there's consistency. Okay? In everything you do, be consistent. Because you can't succeed. Naging motivational talk na to. Alright? So we need consistency. Talking about consistency, late ka nga, ma'am, today. Alright, so, yeah. Tawa, Jovel, sa magka-late ko. Okay, so if you're uncertain about something, for example, the question is about, what do you think is the reason why there is a big rate of teenage pregnancy in your country? Ganyan. So let's say that's the question, but you're not sure of your answer. It's okay to be honest, all right? So just say probably, maybe, and you know what? These linking words are actually helping you to think more and to prepare more for what you're about to say, okay? Because it gives you extra time, a few extra seconds to think. All right. So, ideas lack organization. The common cause is too many ideas. No, overwhelmed ka kasi because you're nervous, you're confused, you're hesitant, self-conscious. That's why you're thinking of what could be the answer that could could give me a good impression. But the thing is, IELTS is not an intelligence test. IELTS is a test to gauge how well you can use the English language on a daily setting and in an academic setting, especially for those academic students, right? So, you basically have to go with the first thing that comes into your mind. But just make sure that the first thing that comes into your mind is something good, okay? Not something silly or anything. But yes, stick with the first thing that comes into your mind. Because if you are overwhelmed with too many ideas, then the relevance of your answer decreases because you start talking about nonsense things. Okay? So what I do is I advise my students to come up with at least 3 points, or probably you can talk about the advantages and disadvantages, comparison. You can talk about the cause and effect. Because then if your ideas have an outline or a structure, then it encourages organization. Okay? Nasa slide 10 pa lang tayo. All right. So, these are the different techniques or methods on how you can organize your ideas. So on task 1, there is a question. Most probably this question will come out and it will ask about your daily routine. Sometimes it's about your morning routine, your afternoon routine, or your evening routine. That is when you can use the chronological order. When we say chronological order, it talks about time. What was the first thing that you did? Second, third, fourth, last. Okay? So that is the chronological order. Hindi yung tinanong ka about your daily routine. Ang sasabihin mo agad is that you were taking vitamins at night. Okay? So the first thing that you say is what you do upon waking up. Right? What do you do the first thing when you wake up in the morning. Okay? Now we have number 2, which is the spatial order. We're not talking about shopper here. It's not spatial. It's spatial. Special is spatial. So, when we say spatial, we're talking about space and places. For example, the question is about describe your hometown. Then you have to organize your thoughts. Talk about the malls. Talk about the universities. Talk about the government offices. Let's say we're talking about Cabanatuan City. Where can you find the universities? Where can you find the malls? How advanced is the system in your city? Okay, you can talk about that in the spatial order. Okay, so you have to be equipped with adjectives and words that can help you describe the physical appearance of places. All right. Next, we have causal order. Let's say your question is going to be about what do you think are the causes of blah blah blah? What do you think is the main cause of traffic congestion in your country? So you have to at least name 3 causes and then also talk about the effects. Okay? So overpopulation can be one cause of heavy traffic or traffic congestion. You can talk about overpopulation is in a certain area, or probably one cause of traffic congestion could be too many vehicles, or what other things can cause heavy traffic? The weather. Road construction, yeah. So our government is not providing fast and effective road construction because paulit-ulit. Sorry, what is it? Oh yeah. Okay, the culture. You can talk about the culture, right? So what are the effects of those problems? You can also talk about that. So sa mga ganun pa lang, na-organize mo na yung thoughts mo. At the same time, you're limiting your answers. You're not providing too many answers because when you provide too many answers, the tendency is nawawala ng relevance na yung sinasabi mo. Napupunta ka na kung saan-saan paligoy-ligoy. And that's not good, okay? Problem solution order. If the question is about problems or issues in your country, so sana maging updated din kayo. Try to be updated with what's going on in your country and in the world, because sometimes there are questions about things that happen in the society. Okay, so you can tackle problems and provide solutions. And then we have topical order. This is like, let's say the topic is about what are the qualities of a manager, of a good manager? Okay, have you ever encountered that question? Have I ever asked any one of you? Or you don't remember anymore? Okay, that's okay. So on number 5, you can talk about what are the qualities of a good manager. So then you can pinpoint 3 main points, and then give a few reasons and examples, and then move on to the next point. Reasons and examples. Move on to the next point. Reasons and examples, and that's it. That's how you organize your answers. Okay? Meron kasing mga sumasagot, sobrang haba ng kwento, like, the story goes on forever. But that's not the way for you to ace your exam. The way for you to ace your exam is to follow a method, an outline. So, tinatanong pa lang yung tanong, dapat nakakabuo ka na ng outline sa isip mo so that you can follow that outline and stick to it. All right? Okay. Next. Hesitation, self-correction. All right. Focusing too much on vocabulary and grammar, changing answers in the middle of speaking. So one of the common errors that examiners have when they take the speaking test is the wrong use of pronouns. Let's say you're talking about your grandmother, but you accidentally said he or his. Eh, di ba ang tamang pronoun? The correct pronoun for grandmother is she, her. Okay? The correct pronoun for animals is it or them, their, right? Generalizing it. So, if you ever have a few slips when it comes to pronouns, you don't have to make a big deal out of it, okay? Just let it slide. Bawi ka na lang sa next mong sasabihin. Okay, let me give you an example. Describe a kind person in your life. One of the kindest persons in my life is my grandmother. He is very old. Oh my God, I said he. But that's okay. Don't try to correct it and say, oh no, she. Don't do that, okay? What you can do is, so nasabi mo na, you already said he is very old. In fact, she's going to celebrate her 97th birthday this year. So hindi na siya pansin. Your error will no longer be noticed as long as you correct it in the future, not the mistake that you made, okay? Because you're just highlighting the mistake if you keep repeating and if you keep correcting yourself. So you don't need to do that. It's okay. A few slips would not be a big chunk of decrease in your score. But frequent errors or frequent slips, that's when you actually get minus points. But yeah, kung isa lang naman or dalawa, I don't think that's gonna be such a big deal, right? Changing answers in the middle of speaking, oh my God. So you're not decisive or hindi ka nakapag-decide kung ano ba talaga yung isasagot mo. I actually asked the student, the first question pa lang, indecisive na siya. Because, I think probably you're here, but I don't remember anymore. But I asked the question, hi, can you please tell me your name? Or what is your name? And then the student answered and said, hi, my name is Mark Lester. You can call me Mark for short. Oh no, you can call me Lester for short. So dun pa lang, he already got confused. So nickname pa lang niya, right? So you don't need to do that, okay? But I understand when you're nervous, you tend to keep changing your answers. But as I said earlier, be consistent, okay? So sometimes there are questions such as agree or disagree. If you already agreed to it, don't try to disagree with it in the middle of your answer because that's going to put you in a very hot spot. Alam ko, sa writing test, there is explain each side and give your own opinion about it. There's that in the written exam, in the writing exam. However, in the speaking exam, first thing that comes into your mind, if you agree, you have to stick to it. Panindigan mo na yon, okay? Hindi yung bigla ka napaisip, oh no, I disagree. Actually, this is my answer. No, you don't have to do that because you're going to confuse yourself and the examiner and your score, okay? So don't put yourself in such a hot seat. So what you can do is think quickly, about 1 to 2 seconds. Yes, because fluency and cohesion is all about thinking quickly and generating answers as fast as you can. But of course, the answers must not just be answers, but they should be effective answers. Anticipate questions. How can you anticipate the questions? By listening to the keywords or content words of the questions. Because when you hear a content word, you will definitely know what to say. But of course, pakinggan nyo din yung not, kung positive ba siya or negative. Kasi baka mamaya, the question is negative and then you gave the opposite answer. Make sure that you also sharpen your listening skills. Okay. Another common mistake when it comes to the speaking test is long pauses or dead air. Maraming ganito dito. Am I right? So, parang biglang, I just want to butt in and say, all right, are we still gonna finish this or not? Because the dead air is so long, okay? So, one of the reasons why sobrang haba ng dead air is because you're trying to come up with impressive answers. Or you're trying to use vocabulary words that are beyond your capability. Okay, so the task one pa lang, your examiner can already identify your vocabulary range. So you don't need to make pa-impress anymore. Okay? As I mentioned earlier, IELTS is not an intelligence test. So kahit mali man yung sagot mo, that's okay. Okay? Hindi siya board exam. It's a speaking exam which will evaluate you on how you respond, on how eloquent or fluent you are in the English language. Okay. So, in short, tip number one to avoid long pauses and keeping quiet and dead air is wag mo masyadong bida-bida sa mga sagot. Alright? Just keep it simple. What comes first in your mind, just stick with that. Have consistency. Okay. Another reason why you have dead air during the speaking test is because you are distracted or daydreaming. Oh my god, why would you be daydreaming while while in the exam? Okay, let's address this issue. One problem why test takers are going to be daydreaming or distracted during the speaking test is definitely because your physical condition and your emotional condition is affecting you. So what should you do? Make sure na bago mag-exam, huwag kang iinom. Make sure don't go drinking, don't go partying, get enough sleep. Okay? Mentally, how can you prepare mentally? Or emotionally? Kasi nakaka-distract yan. Yung iniisip ko habang nag-exam, iniisip ko, ba't kaya 2 days niya ako hindi nire-replyan? Mga ganyan, right? Or, bakit kaya stuff like that. So, yes, you're just a person. You're not a robot. You're not a computer. You can get distracted. But the best way for you not to get distracted is to prevent the distraction. Because prevention is better than cure. So, my advice is if you feel like there's toxicity in the workplace or in the family, at home, in your relationship, with your partner, try to avoid speaking with those people for a couple of days. 3 days, or kung gusto mo 1 week, sabihin mo muna, cool off muna tayo. Hindi, joke lang. So yeah, don't get distracted. Get enough sleep. Make sure you eat, okay? Before you take the exam, you eat. Make sure you're not gonna take the exam on an empty stomach because it highly affects. Don't underestimate your gutom, okay? Don't underestimate your hunger or your thirst because it will take a toll on you. Meaning, akala mo it's just a petty thing, it's just a simple thing that you disregard, but then it actually has an effect because we are humans. We get affected by those things, right? And we have different temperaments. Maring ako, I'm emotionally strong. But there are people who are not. There are people who are vulnerable. Or maybe situations bring you to a vulnerability state. So try to avoid those things because what you need on the exam is laser focus. When we say laser focus, ito yung pinaka-extreme na focus na pwede. Okay? Huwag mo nang isipin yung TikTok video na i-film mo later, okay? So yeah, focus on the exam. You need to really focus. Thinking of better or appropriate words. Make use of available words. Yes. So yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. You don't need to impress your examiner with so many difficult, complex words because they already know if you memorize the word or not. We can already tell. We can already tell your capacity from the moment that you speak a few more sentences on task 4. So if you're trying your best to come up with complex words, I'm not saying that your effort will be wasted. I'm just saying that you can save yourself by making use of available words. Okay? So yeah. So those are the things that you have to consider. Fluency and cohesion pa lang tayo, no? All right. Now, another problem when it comes to taking the speaking test is some test takers are providing really short answers. When we say really short answers, I'm talking about words, single words, or phrases, or incomplete sentences. For example, do you like going to the beach? Ang sagot mo lang, yes. Confident ka pa, yes. Tapos biglang silence. Kasi, the reason why there's silence is because the examiner is expecting you to elaborate your answer. Pero ikaw confident ka, yes, I like going. Hindi mo man lang sinabing, I like going to the beach. Sabi mo lang talaga, yes. So, please don't just say yes or no. You have to know that in IELTS speaking test, you always have to give a reason. For men, I know it's very hard. Kasi pag kausap kayo ng mga asawa nyo, ano? Yes or no lang isasagot nyo. Because less talk, less mistakes, right? But when it comes to IELTS, you have to talk more. Okay, you have to explain your answer. Yes, I like going to the beach. In fact, I consider the beach as a very relaxing place. And it helps me calm down and relieve my stress. Nagpakalunod na. Tuluyan lang na-relieve yung stress. Okay. So yeah, avoid answering in yes or no. Okay. Kung mapapansin nyo sa mga na-coaching ko na before, yung mga sumagot ng yes and no, nagtitigan tayo, right? Ano, tama ba? We just stared at each other when you answered yes or no because I was waiting for you to provide more answers. Okay? No structure. Okay. So let's talk about task 2. Do you have an idea what task 2 looks like? Or what the question cards look like? All right. I'm going to show you an example. Okay. Ano nga pangalan ng file? I forgot.